The FBI, the FCC, and the NSA want you to turn off a setting on your phone today. Not eventually. Not when you get around to it. Today. And if you are reading this with Bluetooth turned on right now in a public space near other people you do not know, you're sitting inside a vulnerability that federal agencies have been warning about for years and that most people have never taken seriously because the name sounds technical and the risk sounds abstract. It is not abstract. The people who exploit Bluetooth vulnerabilities do not need physical access to your device. They do not need you to click a link or download a file. In some cases, they do not need you to do anything at all. Your Bluetooth signal is broadcasting your presence, and the tools to exploit that broadcast cost less than a meal at a restaurant and are available to anyone who wants them. We are going to cover exactly how this works, what specific types of attacks are being used right now, why a feature called Android Fast Pair has created a new tracking vulnerability that most users have never heard of, and then we are going to shift to something that connects directly to the security conversation in ways that should concern everyone thinking about where cybersecurity is heading. Anthropic's leaked Mythos AI models and what they can do to software vulnerabilities. These two topics are more connected than they appear. Let us start with what is on your phone. Why Bluetooth is a constant open door. Most people think of Bluetooth as something that activates when they use it and goes dormant when they do not. That is not how it works. When Bluetooth is enabled on your phone, your device is continuously broadcasting a signal. That signal is advertising your device's presence to any other Bluetooth-capable device in the area. You do not have to be actively connected to anything. You do not have to be transferring data. The broadcast is happening automatically, continuously in the background, as long as Bluetooth is switched on. This broadcast is detectable by any device within range. In open environments, that range can extend to 30 feet or more depending on the device hardware. In a crowded space like a subway car, an airport waiting area, a coffee shop, or a concert venue, your broadcasting phone is within range of dozens or hundreds of other devices. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, has issued direct guidance telling consumers to turn off Bluetooth when not in use specifically because of this vulnerability. The NSA has issued similar guidance to government employees and contractors. These are not theoretical precautions issued as boilerplate safety advice. They are responses to documented attack techniques that exploit exactly the constant broadcast behavior that most users do not realize their devices are performing. The 4 attacks. You need to know. The range of Bluetooth-based attacks has expanded significantly as the technology has become ubiquitous. But 4 specific attack types are responsible for the majority of documented cases and deserve specific understanding. Bluejacking is the entry-level attack and the least damaging of the 4. But it is worth understanding, because it represents the basic mechanics of what Bluetooth proximity exploitation looks like. A bluejacker uses a device to send unsolicited messages to nearby Bluetooth-enabled phones. The messages appear as contact cards, calendar invites, or in older device versions, text messages. The attack is usually used for harassment or to test whether a target device is vulnerable to more sophisticated follow-on attacks. The damage from bluejacking itself is minimal, but the fact that an unknown device could push content to your phone without your permission should reframe how you think about Bluetooth's always-on broadcast. Bluesnarfing is where the consequences become serious. A bluesnarfing attack silently extracts data from your device without triggering any notification or alert visible to you. Contacts, photos, call logs, calendar entries, SMS messages, emails, any data accessible through the Bluetooth protocol can be copied to the attacker's device without your knowledge or consent. The silent nature of bluesnarfing is what makes it particularly dangerous. You will not know what happened. There is no notification that data was accessed, no log entry you can easily find, no visible sign that anything occurred. You walk away from the coffee shop where someone has sat near you with a bluesnarfing tool running, and you have no indication that your contact list and photos are now on someone else's device. Bluebugging escalates to full device control. A successful bluebugging attack gives the attacker command-level access to the targeted device. They can make phone calls from your number. They can send messages that appear to come from you. They can listen to your microphone. They can access your data. The target device, for the duration of the attack, is effectively operating under remote control by the attacker without the owner's knowledge. The specific vulnerability that bluebugging exploits involves the AT command interface, a legacy protocol that persists in Bluetooth implementations. Attackers who can access this interface have effectively bypassed the normal user interaction layer of the device and are issuing commands at a lower level than normal app operation occurs. Blueborn is the most alarming of the 4 because it eliminates the final protection that most users believe they have. Most people assume that their phone's Bluetooth security requires, at minimum, some form of pairing or connection attempt that they could theoretically reject. Blueborn removes this assumption entirely. Blueborn is not a single vulnerability but a collection of vulnerabilities discovered by security researchers at ARMAS in 2017 that affect the Bluetooth implementation in Android, iOS, Windows, and Linux devices. What distinguishes Blueborn from other Bluetooth attacks is that exploitation requires zero user interaction. The attacker does not need to pair with your device. They do not need to send a file you might accept. They do not need you to click anything or approve anything. They simply need to be within Bluetooth range of a device with a vulnerable Bluetooth implementation. And they can take full control of that device without triggering any alert, prompt, or notification. When ARMAS disclosed the Blueborn vulnerabilities, they estimated that over 8 billion devices were potentially affected. Patches were released by the major operating system vendors, but the persistence of unpatched devices in the ecosystem means that Blueborn-style attacks remain viable against devices that have not received updates. The Android fast pair problem. Android's fast pair system is a feature designed to make pairing Bluetooth accessories as seamless as possible. When a fast pair compatible accessory, such as wireless earbuds or a speaker, comes within range of your Android phone, the phone detects it and displays a prompt offering to connect automatically. This eliminates the multi-step pairing process that Bluetooth connections traditionally required. The convenience is real. The security implication is also real and has not received proportionate attention. Fast pair works by having the accessory broadcast an identifier that Android devices recognize. When your phone detects this identifier, it initiates the fast pair process. The vulnerability is that this detection and the associated location data it generates creates a tracking vector. Researchers have demonstrated that it is possible to spoof the fast pair broadcast, causing nearby Android devices to react to a fake accessory signal. More significantly, the logging and telemetry associated with fast pair creates records of which devices were in proximity to which accessories at which times. If an attacker can deploy fake fast pair beacons in locations they want to monitor, they can potentially track the movement of Android devices through those locations based on the automatic fast pair detection responses those devices generate. The tracking vector that fast pair creates is separate from the Bluetooth beacon tracking we have discussed previously, but compounds the overall privacy exposure of leaving Bluetooth enabled in public spaces. Your device is not just broadcasting its own presence. It is responding to signals in its environment in ways that create a record of its location. Disabling Bluetooth when not actively using a Bluetooth accessory eliminates both the direct attack surface and the fast pair tracking exposure simultaneously. The simple fix. The agencies are telling you to make the FCC, NSA, and FBI guidance on this converges on the same recommendation. Turn off Bluetooth when you're not actively using it, not when you remember, not eventually. When you leave the house without Bluetooth headphones in use, Bluetooth should be off. When you're in any public space without an active Bluetooth connection to a trusted accessory, Bluetooth should be off. When you're in a restaurant, an airport, a hotel lobby, any space where unknown devices are within signal range, Bluetooth should be off. Additionally, remove previously paired devices from your Bluetooth list that you no longer use. Each saved pairing represents a connection profile that can potentially be exploited. The smaller your saved device list, the smaller your attack surface. Turn Bluetooth off with the actual toggle in settings, not just in Control Center or Quick Settings. On some devices, the Control Center toggle does not fully disable Bluetooth, but rather disconnects current connections while leaving the radio in a discovery state. Verify in your full settings menu that Bluetooth shows as off. Keep your operating system updated. The Blueborn vulnerabilities and others like them receive patches through OS updates. A phone running an outdated OS version is running with known, documented Bluetooth vulnerabilities that patches have addressed. These are straightforward actions. They cost you nothing except the minor inconvenience of toggling Bluetooth on when you need it and off when you do not. The AI security dimension, Anthropic's mythos models. This brings us to the second part of today's conversation and the reason these two topics belong together. Vague leaks and references to what appears to be a new family of Anthropic AI models, referred to in various sources as mythos, have been circulating in AI research and security communities. The details are incomplete, the specifications are not public. What has emerged is characterized more by what observers are inferring than by confirmed technical documentation. The inference that has generated the most concern in security circles is specific. If mythos models, or AI systems, of comparable capability from any lab, are unusually skilled at finding software vulnerabilities, the security implications bifurcate in a direction that should concern governments, enterprise security teams, and anyone who depends on software infrastructure. The positive use case is powerful and genuinely valuable. AI systems capable of identifying software vulnerabilities at scale and speed that human security researchers cannot match could dramatically accelerate the identification and patching of vulnerabilities that have existed for decades in widely used code bases. The OpenBSD operating system, known for its security-focused development practices, was cited in discussions around what AI vulnerability finding systems have been tested against. OpenBSD has vulnerabilities. Every complex software system has vulnerabilities. The question is whether AI can find vulnerabilities in systems like OpenBSD, which have been exhaustively audited by skilled human security researchers, faster and more comprehensively than those researchers could manage alone. If the answer is yes, the defensive implication is genuinely transformative. Critical infrastructure vulnerabilities that have persisted undetected for years could be systematically identified and addressed before malicious actors find and exploit them. But the dual-use problem is not theoretical. The same AI capability that finds a vulnerability for the purpose of patching, it finds the same vulnerability for the purpose of exploiting it. The system does not know the intention of the person directing it. The capability is the capability. An AI system that can identify a remote code execution vulnerability in widely deployed software and generate a working proof-of-concept exploit in seconds, rather than the weeks or months a skilled human attacker would require changes. The economics of offensive cyber operations in a direction that fundamentally favors attackers over defenders. Defenders have to patch every vulnerability the AI finds. Attackers only have to exploit one. This asymmetry between offense and defense has always characterized cybersecurity. Advanced AI capability does not create this asymmetry. It amplifies it. The speed at which vulnerabilities can be found and exploited increases. The window between a vulnerability existing in deployed software and that vulnerability being actively exploited decreases. The skill level required to conduct sophisticated offensive operations against patched systems decreases because the AI is doing the hard technical work of finding the gaps. The connection to Bluetooth and the other hardware-level vulnerabilities we discussed is direct. Blueborn was discovered by human security researchers. Its patches were developed and distributed by operating system vendors. The window between discovery and patch availability was months. The window between patch availability and widespread patch deployment across the billions of affected devices was longer. In a world where AI vulnerability discovery operates at dramatically higher speed than human vulnerability discovery, that window collapses. Vulnerabilities that might have taken months to discover and exploit are found and weaponized in days or hours. The already difficult problem of keeping devices updated becomes a more acute crisis because the cost of not updating immediately increases. This is not speculation about what AI might eventually do. It is an analysis of the direction that capability is moving and the security implications of that direction for the devices you carry and the software those devices run. The FBI, the FCC, and the NSA are telling you to turn off Bluetooth when you're not using it. That guidance exists because documented vulnerabilities in Bluetooth implementations have enabled real attacks against real users, and the agencies responsible for cybersecurity guidance have assessed the risk as worth specific public warning. The emerging conversation around AI systems capable of finding software vulnerabilities at scale exists because the organizations building these systems and the governments evaluating their security implications are actively working to understand what it means for cybersecurity when finding vulnerabilities becomes dramatically faster and more automated. Both of these conversations are happening right now. Both of them are about the gap between the security assumptions your devices were built around and the threat environment those devices are actually operating in. Closing the gap starts with turning off a toggle. Turn off Bluetooth. Keep your software updated. Pay attention to what is coming next. Because what is coming next is moving faster than most people realize.